Now, in regards to servicing this pond, every fish situation is 50% water quality and 50% nutrition. The food that you feed will have a massive bearing on the health of your fish and your pond or aquarium. So for a situation like this, the food that I'd really want to suggest, even as just part of the diet, is Spectrum's probiotics, because that has a probiotic in it that not only is good for the fish's digestion, but when the fish poo, the bacteria in the poo eats the poo. The other food that is my favorite for these fish is definitely Danichi, because it is a slow cooked, not processed, not pressure cooked, holistic, natural food that I get unbelievable results from. Now, if you've got lilies, that's awesome, but the fish can be very rough on them. They can rip them apart and stuff. And if you're getting yellow on the leaves, you can get some JBL tabs, fertilizer tablets, push them into the roots, increase the iron level for the lilies, and that can help. Now, if you're getting too much string algae, the first thing we want to do is make sure we have good oxygen levels. So this pump's got a lovely pump shooting that way. So you got to make sure that pump stays clean. So just get a brush, give it a brush, make sure the pump's clean. Make sure it's gushing the water out very nicely. Because surface agitation is what's going to increase your dissolved oxygen level and decrease your CO2 level. Because a decreased CO2 level is going to aid the beneficial bacteria, not the string algae. So having a little fountain, yeah, that's cool. That's going to increase oxygen and decrease CO2. Having good surface agitation is good. Having flat surface, not so good. High surface tension means less gas exchange, means higher CO2 levels and lower dissolved oxygen levels. So once again, if you're seeing stringy algae, then doing more water changes is a good idea. Now this filter has a backwash, so I would, on a semi-regular basis, give the filter a bit of a backwash. But the other thing I would do in this pond, considering there's got a lot of water flow going this way and all the crap builds up here, and we have the benefit of gravity. So under there is a bit of a garden. So get yourself a nice big long thick hose, and then your nice big long thick hose you can put in the pond and run it down to the garden, and then you can have a suck on your nice big long thick hose and start the water going from here down there, and then you can get your hose and start sucking all the crap that's on the bottom of the pond, because a nice big thick hose would be like a beautiful vacuum. And especially since most of the crap builds up here, you get your vacuum, which is just a hose, suck, and then you're sucking all the crap out of the pond. So once again, the nitrate and phosphate is what we're talking about. So we can measure the nitrate and phosphate of this water, and if the nitrate and phosphate is elevated, and especially if the CO2 level is high because there's not good gas exchange, then we're going to get lots of algae. If we get the nitrate and phosphate down, then the algae is not going to like it so much. We're going to get rid of all this string algae. So I really don't want to use algicides. I want to just get the nitrate and phosphate down, and want to make sure that our KH level in a pond like this is about, say, 4. So therefore, this pond will work beautifully. Now, once again, evaporation is going to happen. You'll be surprised how much evaporation this pond will have. So this pond needs to be topped up on a regular basis, like at least once a week. And so you could feed them a little bit more than you are, because they're very good, but they're a tad on the skinny side, by the way. Yeah, they're very, very good. The fish are very good, but they could hold a little bit more weight, particularly for this. Yeah, well, you're not overfeeding them. Yeah. What I'm looking at is very happy, very healthy fish, but they're a tad on the skinny side. In the end of winter, if they look a tad on the skinny side, then that's pretty normal, because you're hardly going to feed much during winter. But for summer, I'd want them a little bit fatter than that.
Okay.
So just feed them a little bit more and really watch what you feed them. The food that I find is absolutely the best for fish conditioning is Danichi, because that's a slow-cooked, non-processed food. And the food that I add that I find is best for cleaning, for having a clean environment, is Spectrum's probiotics. So they're the two foods that I feed. And the impact you'll see versus any other food, in my opinion, is extraordinary. So once again, if you make sure your pH is about 7.4, make sure your KH is about 4, make sure your GH is somewhere around 8 to 12. That means that when you do a water change, there's 3 things you're really wanting to put in the water. You're wanting to put water ager to make sure that you don't get chlorines and stuff in the water. If you're doing a little top-up, like an automatic top-up, then you don't really have to worry about water ager. But if you're doing a big water change, you definitely worry about water ager, because Sydney tap water doses chlorine to a maximum minimum level depending on pathogen counts. So therefore you can do a water change one day, not use water ager, and it's all good. You can do a water change another day and you've got big problems. So definitely use water ager, because the chlorine in tap water is not consistent. So once again, for this particular pond, it's got a filter that you can backwash and take some water out, and you want to backwash it. Seeing this particular filter is so easy to backwash that if you did backwash it every couple of weeks, that'd be really cool. It's just a matter of switching it to backwash. So giving that a backwash every couple of weeks is a great idea. Filling up the pond as the water goes down is something you shouldn't have to worry about, because this particular one has got auto top up on it. And then when you're doing a water change, make sure you're putting water ager, KH powder and GH crystals, which are like salts. And then you'll have fish with good healthy immune systems, and everyone will be happy. And once again, if you have any issues with your pond at all, then just come down to Majestic Aquariums with a sample of water and a video. The other thing it's good to have too is a scoopy net. So on a regular basis you can go and just scoopy all the crap that's building up on the bottom. So sometimes siphoning out the crap, sometimes sucking out the crap. But once again, the more you're exporting crap out of the pond, the lower your nitrate and phosphate level will sit at, and then the happier everyone will be. If your nitrate and phosphate levels are coming up, then there are various bacteria additives that you could add that might help out. But mainly you just got to up your maintenance a bit. Netting out leaves more often, backwashing your filter more often, and then sucking the bottom with your big hose more often, until your string algae is not such a problem. And pulling it out when you're seeing it, when you can pull it out. Pulling anything out means the nutrients are no longer rotting in there and deteriorating your water. So with a pond like this, if you test pH and KH and GH, let's say once every couple of months, probably all you really need to do. And that way, that will guide you for how much additives you're adding to the water. Ammonia and nitrite, check that every now and then, but that should be absolutely zero. And then nitrate and phosphate. In a pond like this, most people couldn't be bothered testing it. What they would do is just use the string algae as a guide. So if they seeing a bit of string algae, up your servicing. That means more backwashing of the filter, more sucky with the big hose, and more scoopy with the net. And then what you're really wanting to do is create a system that works for you. So let's say every 2 weeks, maybe give the filter a bit of a backwash, maybe do a bit of sucky, maybe do a bit of scoopy. It's not really shouldn't be a lot of maintenance to run a pond like this. And this really is an awesome feature. Like for the amount of maintenance this is, and also a pond like this is very forgiving. So I'd want to put a little bit of work into this once every 2 weeks, and I'd have it looking spectacular. But you will find that this is very forgiving. If you go for a long time and you're just too lazy, it's still fine. It's just that you'd have to do a bit of a resurrection when you're finished. And so you get in a maintenance schedule, so you know what you're doing, if you're that organised. But once again, your string algae is a bit of a guide. Getting more shitty algae means you should be doing more maintenance. So your two big variables is surface agitation. More surface agitation, that's good. More oxygen. More water changes and maintenance, which is not top up, is good. And then the thing that makes the impact of all is the food you choose. If you feed this, let's say 60 or 80% spectrum probiotics, which is the cleanest food you can get, and maybe 20 to 40% Danichi color, you will have the best fish that you can imagine, and your pond will stay super clean. If you feed crap foods, get ready to have a crap pond with crap fish. Thank you.